Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into a fascinating company on the Thai tech scene, COM7 Public Company Limited.
That's right.
They just dropped their Q2 2568 results, and wow, net profit hit over 1,003 million baht. That's up something like 33% year over year.
Yeah, a huge jump. Mostly driven by strong tech sales, it seems.
Exactly. So our mission today is, to go beyond just those headlines. We'll sift through the financials, their strategy, what analysts are saying, and give you a clear picture of where COM7 is right now, and maybe more importantly, where they're trying to head next. It seems pretty ambitious.
Absolutely. And for this, we've gathered info from, well, quite a few places. Official filings from the Stock Exchange of Thailand, of course.
Okay.
Financial news like Calhoun, the Bangkok Insight. We've looked at analyst takes from TradingView, Investing.com, even checked out public buzz on Pantip and reports from Longtunman.
So a pretty wide net.
Yeah, trying to get the full picture. Because that Q2 profit surge, it's not just a number. It hints at some deeper strategic shifts happening, which we really need to unpack today.
Okay, let's do that. That Q2 profit jump is definitely the place to start. So beyond that big 33% number, what were the core financial figures for COM7 in Q2, and what really fueled that strong performance?
Well, the Q2 numbers, they are definitely robust. Net profit, like you said, just over 1 billion baht. That's the 33.2% increase year on year.
Right.
Total revenue also climbed nicely, hitting 20.7 billion baht. That's up nearly 13% from Q2 last year.
Okay.
And that flows right down to earnings per share, the EPS. It came in at 0.43 baht for the quarter.
Up from
0.32 baht in Q2 67. And if you look at the whole first half of 68, net profit's almost 2 billion baht with an EPS of 0.84. So solid momentum.
Those are impressive top-line figures, but was it just, selling more iPhones and laptops, or were there smarter things happening behind the scenes driving that profit growth?
Oh, it was definitely more than just higher sales, although that was a big piece of it. The main boost, yes, came from strong demand across all their products, especially the high-demand tech stuff.
Makes sense.
But they also got good same-store sales growth, SSSG, around 6%.
So existing stores are performing better, too.
Exactly. It shows the underlying health of their established retail network, not just growth from opening new shops.
Okay.
And what's also telling is how they managed their gross profit. It went up 11% to about 2.86 billion baht.
Right.
But they kept the gross margin stable at 13.8%. They did that through, well, pretty effective promotion management. Really shows operational skill, doesn't it?
It does. Sounds like discipline management alongside those strong sales. You also mentioned diversification playing a role. What else helped the bottom line besides just selling tech?
Yeah, that's a really key part of the story here. Their other income actually surged by almost 88%, up to nearly 68 million baht.
Wow, 88%. Where did that come from?
It wasn't just one thing. It was diverse sources like real estate rentals, their growing EV business, we'll get more into that later,
Okay.
and even more dividend income from investments they hold. So it's clear those diversification efforts are starting to pay off already.
That's interesting.
And then on the cost side, they were incredibly disciplined. Selling and admin expenses, SG&A, only went up about 1.4%.
Which is tiny compared to the revenue growth.
Exactly. So as a proportion of revenue, it actually dropped from 8.8% down to 7.9%. That's tight control.
Definitely.
They also saw a 25% decrease in impairment losses on financial assets. That points to a really healthy higher purchase loan book, their non-performing loans, NPLs.
The loan's going bad.
Right? Those stayed below 2%, which is well within their 3% risk target. Very impressive.
It really is.
And even their financial costs went down almost 7%, partly due to lowered interest rates. Plus, their share of profit from investments jumped up significantly, adding about 24.6 million baht, suggesting some of their joint ventures are doing better.
Okay, so that paints a picture of a company that's really firing on all cylinders. Strong sales, yes, but also smart cost control and these new income streams kicking in. So for our listener, what does all this mean for COM7's overall financial health? How's the market valuing them right now based on these numbers?
Right, let's look at the key metrics over the last year, the trailing 12 months, or TTM. There's some really interesting signals here about valuation and efficiency.
Like what?
Well, take the price to earnings ratio, the PE. It's sitting around 13.6.
Okay, 13.6. Is that high or low for them?
That's the fascinating part. It's way lower than its historical range. They used to trade at like 30 or 40 times earnings. Even after their 2023 results, it was around 17 times.
So 13.6 looks kind of cheap then.
It could suggest a potential opportunity, yeah. Maybe the market still sees them mostly as just an IT retailer. and hasn't fully priced in the potential of all these new ventures we're talking about.
Interesting point. What else?
Then there's the price to book value, PDV. That's about 4.87. Generally, anything over 1 suggests investors see good future growth prospects.
Okay.
Their return on equity, ROE, is around 37.56%. That's exceptionally strong. It shows how efficiently they're using shareholder money to make profit.
37%. Wow.
Yeah. And return on assets, ROA, is about 11.89%. Also very healthy, showing effective use of all their assets. Liquidity-wise, the current ratio is about 1.31, suggesting they can cover short-term debts.
And debt levels.
Total debt to equity is around 79%, gives you a clear view of their leverage. So overall, these metrics paint a picture of a financially robust and operationally efficient company.
Okay, so the core business, rock solid, financially healthy, that gives them a really strong foundation, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But this is where, for me, the story gets really compelling. COM7 isn't just sitting back enjoying this success. Their CEO, Mr. Surakanita, he's laid out some incredibly ambitious plans that go way beyond selling phones. What's the long-term vision here, and how are they actually planning to hit these, frankly, audacious goals?
You're right, audacious is a good word for it. Mr. Sura's target is massive, 100,000 million baht in revenue.
100 billion baht.
Yep, within the next 4 to 5 years.
Whoa, okay.
And for this year, 2568, the aim is for 10% revenue growth. So, pushing hard already.
How do they plan to get anywhere near 100 billion?
It's built on several pillars, kind of working together. First, really pushing for more market share in IT products. They want to go from about 20% now up to 30% by 2027.
Let's do 100 billion baht market.
Exactly. Second, aggressive branch expansion. They plan to open another 100 to 150 new branches just in 2025.
Bringing the total to
Around 1,400 by the end of the year. And there's a strategic shift here too. More standalone stores, probably to manage those high mall rental costs.
Sure, makes sense.
And third, online sales are still a huge focus. They reported over 65% growth online in the first half of 25. They're continuing to develop platforms like the Studio 7 website and the Banana app. It's about creating this pervasive ecosystem.
Okay, that covers the core business growth. But the really transformational part seems to be this leap into totally new markets. Tell us more about this diversification into megatrends. It feels like they're trying to build something much bigger around their customer base.
It is an exciting pivot, no doubt. They're making serious moves into several high-growth areas. First, cloud services. They've partnered with AWS, Amazon Web Services.
Only one.
Yeah. They're targeting SMEs, startups. Their 2024 cloud sales were around 70 million baht, which was up 130%, and they want to double that in 25.
And the potential is huge there.
Absolutely. Thailand's public cloud market is projected to hit like 67 billion baht in 2025, growing over 20% a year.
Yeah.
And COM7 just won an award from AWS as a strong ASEAN partner, so they're getting traction.
Okay, cloud, what else?
Second, solar solutions. High modern business. They bought a stake in Taco Cleantech.
Ah, so they're offering installation and everything.
Full spectrum. Consulting, design, install, maintenance for homes, for businesses. They distribute through Taco's partners, but also their own banana stores, even banana solar stores now. Brands like Huawei, Energy Lib. It's a clear move into sustainability using their retail footprint.
Leveraging their network. Makes sense. And the EV stuff? That sounds really bold.
It is. TechXI EV, their subsidiary, COM7 Holding, is buying basically all of EV7. That's an EV car rental and hire purchase business,
For taxis.
specifically targeting the huge Bangkok taxi market. There are about 80,000 taxis, right? But only maybe 10% are EV.
Right.
Here's the kicker. 30,000 to 40,000 of those internal combustion taxis are expiring this year.
Ah, so massive replacement opportunity.
Exactly. Huge potential for growth, and it helps with pollution too. Plus, they're already involved in EV distribution through their G80 Saeon joint venture, so it's not totally out of the blue.
Okay, cloud, solar, EV, taxis, anything else?
Oh yeah. They're expanding financial services too. Their eye care insurance brought in 734 million baht revenue and about 40 million profit in 2024.
Mostly phones.
Historically, yes, but they're expanding beyond that. Health, auto insurance. They've got a new product called 7Care with Apple.
Interesting tie-in.
And then there's UFUND, that's their loan business. It's a really strong growth. Did about 80,000 loans for iOS devices in 2024. That's like a 2-3x increase. Over 1 billion baht in loans.
What about defaults?
Yeah.
NPLs?
Still remarkably low. They seem to really understand their customer behavior.
Yeah.
And they're expanding now beyond just students to general customers and even getting into the Android market.
Wow.
Plus, they're talking with big partners like Index Living Mall, Big C, BDMS for synergies, and they already partner with True to manage True Shops and push 5G. It's a really integrated strategy, trying to touch multiple parts of your digital and physical life.
That is an incredible range of new ventures, really paints a picture of a company trying to transform itself. But, every big plan has risks. What are the main positives that could really fuel this growth? And what are the potential headwinds or negatives that could slow them down, especially moving into such different areas?
Okay, positives first. Several things are definitely working in their favor. Continued strong demand for tech products. That's the core. Especially now with AI potentially driving hardware upgrades. That's a nice tailwind.
Right.
The successful rollout and crucially scaling of these new businesses, cloud, solar, EV, that's obviously key.
Yeah.
If they get that right.
Huge potential.
Exactly. And their proven financial strength, especially those low NPLs in the loan business, gives them a really solid foundation for these new, sometimes capital-heavy ventures.
Okay, so strong base, big potential. What about the downsides, the challenges?
There are definitely clear challenges. For starters, 3 of their subsidiaries, Dr. Pharma, Pet Paw Store, and the AI on EV distribution, they're still losing money. Improvements expected in 2025, but right now, they're a drag. Consumer spending is also still a bit iffy, economic uncertainty lingers.
Yeah, you feel that.
And things like government measures. Remember the early easy e-receipt announcement? That caused people to delay buying stuff. Plus, IT products just last longer now, which could slow down upgrades for their main retail business.
True. Phones don't die quite as fast.
Right. And finally, costs. Higher promotions needed in a competitive market, plus the rising SG&A from opening all those new branches, that adds up. And some analysts, like KGI Thailand, are pointing this out. They're saying, look, the long-term outlook is positive, yes, but short-term profit might not be exciting because of all the money being poured into starting up these new businesses.
The classic growth versus short-term profit dilemma.
Exactly. It's a trade-off they're making.
So a strong company with huge ambitions, but definitely navigating some hurdles. With all these moving parts, what's the general feeling from the financial analysts and institutions? Are they mostly buying into this vision, or are they more cautious?
Well, the overall sentiment, looking at the reports, definitely leans towards buy or even strong buy. We looked at forecasts from 8 different analysts, and the average one-year target price for COM7 comes out at 28.44 baht.
The range.
The highest estimate goes up to 30 baht even, while the lowest is around 24.04 baht. So generally positive.
But you mentioned some caution.
Yeah, while most recommend buying, there's that nuance. They see the long-term profit potential. That's what everyone's watching. But they also acknowledge that short-term profits might not see big jumps right away because of all these investments in diversification. It's definitely seen as a long game play.
Got it. And what about for investors who like dividends? Is CM7 reliable there?
They have a pretty solid track record, actually. Consistent dividend payments. The latest reported one was 0.70 baht per share.
Which translates to what kind of yield?
Roughly a 3% yield based on recent prices. Investing.com puts the trailing 12-month yield higher, around 4.32%, with a 5-year average near 5.5%. So quite decent.
Stable returns then.
Seems like it. And their payout ratio, how much profit they pay out, is around 48% TTM, though the 5-year average is higher at 71%. It suggests they're balancing returning value to shareholders with keeping enough cash for their growth plans.
Makes sense.
Oh, and it's also worth remembering earlier this year in 2568, they did a 1-for-1 stock dividend. That also rewarded shareholders without draining cash.
Right. Okay. Now let's pivot quickly to the market itself. What did the technical chart look like for CONFNE around August 8th, 2568? Any key levels or patterns investors should maybe keep an eye on?
Okay, looking at the chart around August 8th, the stock closed at 24.50 C-band. It had been trading in a fairly narrow range leading up to that.
Any obvious support or resistance?
Yeah, you could see immediate support around the 24.0 gap mark. It bounced off that level a few times, suggesting buyers step in there.
Okay.
On the upside, resistance seemed pretty clear between 25.50 and 26.00 baht. The price had trouble breaking through that ceiling.
Indicating sellers were active there.
Exactly. Volume on that specific day was kind of moderate, didn't suggest a strong push either way.
And the bigger picture.
Well, the stock looked like it was consolidating after moving up earlier. At 24.50, it was trading sort of the mid to lower part of its 52-week range.
Which was?
The low was 16.70 baht, and the high was 28.25 baht. So it was well off the low, but still quite a bit below the high.
So what would signal a change?
A decisive break above that 26.000 bet resistance, especially if it happened on a higher volume, that would look more positive for the short term. On the flip side, a sustained drop below 24.00 bet might signal more downside.
Okay, interesting technical picture there. So wrapping this up for you, the listener, we've seen COM7 leverage its very strong core IT retail business, highlighted by that impressive Q2 performance, using it as a launchpad for a really ambitious transformation. They're clearly aiming beyond just selling devices. They're building this whole ecosystem, moving boldly into cloud, solar, even EV taxis.
Yep, with the mix.
All while chasing that massive 100 billion bat revenue target. It's a company really in the middle of a huge strategic pivot, trying to weave itself into the fabric of modern digital life.
And that really brings up a key question, doesn't it? For a company that started, basically selling phones and computers, how will the market ultimately value COM7 as it pushes so hard into these completely different high-growth areas like cloud and EV mobility?
Right. Will it stay valued like a retailer with some side projects?
Or will its valuation start to reflect this new identity as more of a maybe technology services and solutions provider? That's a big question, and perhaps the biggest challenge for them.
Yeah.
What's the single toughest hurdle they face in actually integrating and scaling all these different new businesses to realistically hit that 100 billion BAL goal? It's one thing to announce it, another to execute it across such diverse fronts.
A really fascinating journey to watch unfold, for sure. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into COM7 today. We hope you feel much more well-informed.